I'm going to ask you some more of the achievements as we continue this dialogue, but let me ask you, in retrospect, before Team Unity was founded, what was the state of St. Kitts and Nevis?
The state of St. Kitts and Nevis was one in which the vast majority of persons were dissatisfied with the general direction in which the country was going. As a matter of fact, it is for that reason why persons would have voted for change. We had a government which had run out of ideas, a government led by a man who had basically become a dictator, a government on because of the vision of the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. Prior to Team Unity coming together, we had done several polls. You had persons who came out of the Labour Party, persons from the People's Action Movement, persons from the Concerned Citizens Movement from Nevis, coming together to form Team Unity, to give the people what the people asked for.
Now, you have been called a concoct.
You have an opposition who, of course, would have asked persons similarly to vote for them, and in trying to dissuade persons from supporting Team Unity, they would have come up with various descriptions as to why persons should not support Team Unity. Part of that was instilling fear within persons. Part of that was giving persons the impression that Team Unity isn't workable. Well, if it is that it has been a marriage of convenience, it has been a concoction. This marriage of convenience, this concoction is working on behalf of all of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. In my opening remarks, I gave you several examples of what we have been able to achieve to date. Those achievements are not on behalf of the persons who support PAM, CCM or PLP. Those are achievements which are advantageous to all of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It is not just the supporters of Team Unity who would enter into our supermarkets to buy food. It is not just the supporters of Team Unity who have benefited from the removal of VAT from funeral expenses and medication. You have students of all different political persuasions attending the Bastille High School. We have had persons from all over St. Kitts and Nevis who have supported any of the political parties in St. Kitts and Nevis benefiting from the $16 million which was paid to the former sugar workers, the $25 million which has been given to Nevis to date. That has benefited all of the people of Nevis, regardless of whether they support CCM or the NRP.
Now, the opposition basically has rubbished all of this and said basically that it is political gimmick, grandstanding.
I do not see which part of it is a grandstanding or political gimmick. How do you different areas? I think there is a different school spirit. The children are now much more comfortable because for the most part they are in one location. It is a temporary site, but it's a temporary site which has relieved quite a number of the issues that they were facing. Most importantly, the fact that they were getting sick. That is no longer on the table.
Now, what does democracy actually mean for you? Because we heard a lot about protecting democracy, promoting democracy. Democracy is something that is bigger than any one of us. It is bigger than any party. It is bigger than any leader. What does it actually mean for you, and what does it actually mean in restoring democracy, especially with a Team Unity administration in place? And what needs to be restored? Because if something needs to be restored, it simply means that something was threatened or something was being lost.
Indeed, something was being threatened. Indeed, we had lost a number of things. If I go back to the motion of no confidence, for example, here it is that a majority of the elected members of parliament were saying we no longer have confidence in Dr. Douglas to be the Prime Minister of this federation, but yet there was a refusal to have the motion of no confidence heard. Persons must recognize that those elected representatives, they were speaking on behalf of their constituents, and we indeed had outlined. As far as team unity is concerned, we have to now put in place the necessary laws to ensure that we do not have a repeat of such taking place in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. But more important than putting any law in place is persons must be able to stand up, persons must be able to fight for their democracy, persons must be able to express their views. And on the team unity, we are allowing all persons to express their views.